everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and here I brought two guests with me. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
Damn it, I thought KG was going first.
Okay. Yeah, I thought he was going to go. See, Tyrone, you're supposed to do the introduction of each person individually, man, you know?
No, you fight to the death and you decide who introduces themselves first.
No.
All right, well, here with me, I got KG Prestige.
Hey, yo.
And I've got Insane Game Freak.
Yo, what's up, guys?
And we're here because I think I've officially snapped. I've gone officially crazy with rage.
You've been crazy.
Yeah, man. Nothing's changed.
Thank you. But I think I've reached a realism of it. No. It's just because this Dragon Ball Super, you all know how I feel about Super. I feel like it cuts corners. I feel like it does the bare minimum. And honestly, just looking at the series as a whole, this, I think, is what has finally brought me to a point where I'm done with Dragon Ball, or at least Dragon Ball Super is concerned, because this shit's unacceptable. So if you all are wondering what the hell I'm talking about, or just, listening to it on a pod, with your phone turned off or something, YouTube, Reddit or something, Goku's getting a new form as of next week, or whatever time that this is going up, and it is called Ultra Instinct Mastered, and it's Ultra Instinct, but Goku's hair is now gray, and it's just like his normal state. And I have never been more pissed about a transformation in my life. So first off, let's go to you, Terrell. Let's see what you think, because you dropped Dragon Ball off for a while and you done with it before Super even began. Am I right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'm aware of arcs and I know of the results of arcs. I don't know all the finer details, and even the power tournament's probably been the most engaged I've been. And even then, it's just me looking at like clips or previews of episodes and shit. So yeah, that's my Super experience.
So let me ask this: what was your impression when you first found out about this transformation? Because I believe that this transformation was just shown all basically because of scans and because of the online Japanese game Dragon Ball Heroes.
Well, it's also technically it's shown in the last episode, isn't it? Like
in the preview, yeah.
Yeah, in the previews. But this was shown. Scan showed up way before that.
Okay. Dragon Ball's transformations in Dragon Ball have not been interesting since the Buu saga. So like none of Super's transformations have been interesting. So literally, this is just another hair change.
Not even the Red God form?
Say what?
Not even the Red God form when you found out about it way back in Battle of Gods?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
I was very indifferent to all of it because unfortunately, because the way Dragon Ball functions in terms of its power scaling, at least for Saiyans, was either your hair gets longer or it becomes shinier. And it seems like in Super, they just kind of took the direction of your hair now is a fucking rainbow globe and turns different colors depending on how powerful you're feeling in the moment. Like, there's nothing visually interesting or even exciting about a fucking transformation in Dragon Ball Z. And the reason why is because they become almost irrelevant within the same goddamn saga.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, my interest is I was very unflinched, pretty much.
So basically you were just like, yep, same shit, different saga.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, KG, what was your reaction to this abysmal transformation?
Abysmal? Well, first of all, I like the concept behind it, like the whole Ultra Instinct theme and whatnot. But I have to agree with Terrell, though, like the whole, those moments when you feel those excitement, when you see these new transformations and all that, like for the first time for Goku back in the Frieza saga where he got, Super Saiyan for the first time. Like, I no longer feel that impact that it used to be like back in the day, every now and then we're just getting these transformations every 60 something episodes. And it's like, there doesn't feel any impact of any sort. You know, like you don't feel that excitement that you once felt before, or it's just like, oh, okay, it's that time of the year again where he's gonna get a new transformation. Oh boy, you know. It's just nothing special. There's no special charm or uniqueness to them no more. And I will say, like, that I think in Battle of Gods they actually brought this up where Piccolo even mentions at one point where he says like Goku just turned back into a measly Super Saiyan and all that, and I'm just like, God damn! I used to remember back in the day when Super Saiyans used to be the most highest regard in terms of power and all that. And now he just calls it measly, and it's just like, wow, look. I don't know. It just feels like we lost something as we progressed on within the series, like that uniqueness with the Super Saiyan, the power ups, and all that. And
right,
I don't know. I'm just a little disappointed in that regard, but I'm still excited to see what this new form has to offer, and also kind of questioning where do you go from here? Because isn't this supposedly the peak at this point?
Well, yeah, because Super is going to end soon anyway. Super's ending in March.
Yeah, but we know there's a movie coming out as well, and you don't know if they might end up trying to shoehorn in a transformation there too as well.
I'm not going to talk about that movie yet.
Well, of course not, because we don't got no information regarding that stuff yet. But I'm just saying that, you know.
It's like Super Saiyan Rainbow, and it's like, remember on His Next Door with the Rainbow Monkeys when they were actually alive and their bodies would just change color every couple of seconds? It would just change into these gradual colors. It's just that.
It's just it's just sad to see what transformations have become lately in Dragon Ball as a whole. Like I told you, I just don't like. Maybe the most I've ever felt in terms of impact was probably Super Saiyan 3 or even Super Saiyan 4, but now it's just like, oh, okay, we're new transformation every single movie and whatnot, you know, with Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and now here with Super, we got Ultra Instinct. Yeah, you know, I don't know. There's just the charm is gone.
Right.
Well, they're just not visually interesting anymore. Literally, either the character gets more buff,
or a palette swap,
or you just change colors on them. Like the reason why people got excited back when you were watching, like when people were watching either One Piece or Naruto, is that when transformations happen in One Piece or Naruto, that shit could be wildly different. Even in Bleach, you just got these weird ass transformations. Like when Ichigo first went Bankai, what was his transformation?
His sword got smaller.
His sword got smaller, and you were like, well, that's like the opposite of what you would expect in a Shonen Jump series. Even when Naruto got Sage Mode, it was like a subtle change. He just got the red tint around his eyes and shit.
Didn't Bakuya Kuchiki look at Ichigo's Bankai and was just like, a Bankai is supposed to be like this OP type of shit. You just turned your sword smaller.
Ichigo seemed really like minuscule in comparison.
And then Ichigo just sort of did super speed on his ass.
And the problem is that like in Dragon Ball, every Saiyan transformation involves waves of energy flowing from the character, what they're surrounded by their aura. Like whichever color their hair is whatever color is the aura.
Right.
And usually that's literally it. It's like a color difference and then like colors. That's it. Different colors, maybe longer hair. And I wish they would go for some different visual design. Like, because there is no real interesting transformation. I think the Buu Saga had the most interesting transformations. And that's just because you didn't know what thing was going to come next.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is probably the reason why Boo himself as a character and his transformations were so interesting, because he went from being fat to skinny to a child, and the child was the most dangerous. And he started doing shit that didn't make any sense, like kicking his foot through the ground and kicking you from like a distance away and shit. Like you want something visually interesting and stimulating. A fucking hair color change is just like the most basic It's like the laziest thing you can. You know what? Just move on.
Yeah, it's sad to see that Super Saiyan 4 was the most innovative with that.
Terrell, even in the beginning, and it's funny you mention that because you look in the manga of Dragon Ball, it was way back in Dragon Ball Z. Even in the beginning, Toriyama made that change of Super Saiyan specifically because it was easier to draw. It was like, we can just make Goku's hair stand up, and we won't have ink in his hair every time because now it's golden, or now it's blonde, which means we don't have to shade in as much anymore because now he's Super Saiyan. So even in the beginning it was like that, but at least it was like, it was so dramatically different. Aesthetically, it was almost like a keep it simple type of situation that it worked.
Simple yet effective.
It was simple yet effective. And it even had the additional concept of Goku's like small stuff actually made a big difference. Goku's eyes were more like serious and slanted now because it was showing that this is him being more aggressive in this form. Whereas and when he's in his base form, his eyes were curvier because it was less stress in his body. Now it's just like literally it's just Photoshop change the color palette to a different color, hence the picture that I'm probably going to put up right now, where it shows Goku's Super Saiyan God form, the red one, and then a palette swap change to the Blanco form, the gray one.
Yeah, like I was trying to say before, the last time it got really innovative was surprisingly in GT with Super Saiyan 4. Because, like, at least with what Terrell was saying before regarding the visual change, they did that with that design.
Right. But I would say Super Saiyan 4 is the best visual design.
It's definitely
because it was a nice fusion of Saiyan traits, taking the monkey concept that literally is not used in any of the forms and applying it to a transformation. GT has a better transformation than any of the super transformations for Goku.
Right.
He looked cool, and he had a completely different look. And they tried to go for a more primal look with the whole monkey correlation. And the fact that Saiyans are based on monkeys. It's unfortunate that GT has a whole bunch of other fucking problems that prevent it.
Good ideas, poor executions. Basically, is what GT is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then I guess we can go on to my reaction as well, because it's interesting. Out of all the transformations in Dragon Ball Super, I actually did like Ultra Instinct when it was first introduced. One, because it wasn't a fucking Saiyan transformation, so technically anybody had the possibility of doing it. Two, the concept was just based on the fact that actually, unlike most of the transformations in Dragon Ball Super, was a concept that's built up from the beginning, you know? Resurrection F, we states that there's a moment in which your body is reacting much faster than your brain can absorb the concept. It's sort of similar to like how a crazy reflex reaction can happen if like somebody's about to fall and that other person's heart beats up and then they catch them before they fall. It's like their body was moving before their head could think of it. So this form was basically reflexes, the form. And I liked that concept because it works. They didn't need to do anything to Ultra Instinct at this point. It was just a nice, hey, this is a transformation that's not a fucking Saiyan transformation. And in addition to that, it allowed Goku to tap in with just his inner reflexes. So it made it the most different. It wasn't just, oh, this is a power-up increase and his hair changed color. It's just like, I don't even get what the point of changing Goku's hair to blue was when you start to think about it. And it was the most anticlimactic transformation that ever happened. They just showed up, fought Frieza, turned Super Saiyan Blue, and that was it. There was no build-up. There was no story. Even in Super, when Vegeta and Goku were training, that we saw like a small glimpse of it, but no reason as to why exactly that happened. And then I'll give Super Saiyan God Red props, because at least it was like, okay, we got to do a ritual in order for this transformation to happen. And I thought it was a very interesting concept. But then I started noticing that Super was just fixated on let's change their hair colors to make new transformations so that we can sell toys. Because now it's like, oh, we've got Ultra Instinct Goku. Now we've got Ultra Instinct Mastered Goku. Then it's going to be like, oh, Ultra Instinct Mastered Goku 0 calories. And it's just like, okay, fuck it. I'm tired of it.
You know what they could have done to fix that problem?
What?
And because you have multiple Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z at this point, it would have made the most sense. Have a Saiyan skill tree in a sense. That different manners of achieving Super Saiyan would lead to different skills that you could gain as a Saiyan. So the fact that Vegeta was the person who gained it through rage, that means all of his transformations would be more bestial, whereas Goku did it through the loss of friends and family, so his would be more, him and Gohan's would be on a similar level, and so Gohan is arguably more compassionate, So he would have more of a pacifist type transformation. That's what they should have did. And then you could have incorporated different elements of those personality traits with like monkeys and whatever other inspiration you wanted to use to create transformations. And you could have did that for Universe 6 too. Like the reason why, because for those who may not know, I did like a theory where I thought a really cool alternate storyline would have been if Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta were training Kappa, Califia, and Kale. I think it would have been cool that the way they dictated who was training who is based off of which skill tree they were following. If they were following similar skill trees. And then even then you could have thrown in concepts like, oh, Universe's 6 skill trees are slightly different. So even though Kale's is a pacifist route, it has the adverse side effect of adding in more bestial traits to conflict, to kind of like challenge her pacifism. Like they're like, it's like really basic shit you could have done to make Saiyan's transformations in general more interesting as a concept instead of this fucking, oh, well, here's another let's go into the color shaders, Bob. Spin the color wheel. Woo! Click gray. That's what we're going with. Splash. He's done. Get him out of there. We need to sell for a stat. Fuck it. So,
right. And then even back then when in Dragon Ball's, not even just necessarily the colors, what they would do is that they would when Goku realized that Super Saiyan was just not going to be enough to fight the threat that they were dealing with in the Android Saga, they decided to go beyond Super Saiyan. And we got different types of transformations based on how the warriors trained, you know? So that kind of follows that concept. Vegeta was actually pretty level-headed, which is odd because it's Vegeta, but he had a pretty level head on how he was doing it. He was trying to buff up and make himself stronger, but at the same time still save some energy. So he made Super Saiyan Grade 1, which was the him buff form, which if you look at Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and then the dark blue Vegeta that came out, the one that he did against Jiren, it's that. It's that. They repeated his transformation by making that.
It's basically Super Vegeta Blue.
Super Vegeta Blue, yeah. And then Trunks, he kept going without thinking because he's younger and he's less experienced at fighting. So he wound up with this buff-ass transformation that's completely useless because he's so slow. And then Goku found a way to measure out, okay, I'm not going to make myself as strong as Vegeta, but I'm going to build my endurance up enough to where I don't tire out as fast as Vegeta. So everybody found a different way based on how they train. So there were still levels of Super Saiyan. And then Gohan said, fuck it, I'll pass all of y'all with Super Saiyan 2. But there were different ways based on the way that each of these fighters worked. Gohan obviously had that hidden potential that was built up since the beginning of the series. So Super Saiyan 2 was justifiable for him. So, like, Dragon Ball Z at least had the decency to give each of these characters different forms based on how they fight. Their attitudes towards fighting. And it delved deeper into their characters, where here it's just, why did Trunks get Super Saiyan Rage? Has anyone answered that question yet? Do we still know?
You just got mad?
Just got, like, that's stupid. That's the dumbest transformation I've ever seen in my life. So dumb, I almost forgot it existed.
Well, I mean, it also applies to Goten and Trunks, I guess, as well, back in this Boost saga. Because they just sort of came out of nowhere with it.
I don't want to address Goten and Trunks at all.
Well, then I will, because a lot of people do say, oh, well, Tyrone or anybody will bring this argument. How come you get so mad at Kaba, Kale, and Khalifa for gaining Super Saiyan so easily when Goten and Trunks did it? Well, one, Goten and Trunks were introduced into the series turning Super Saiyan. We don't know when they turned Super Saiyan. If you read the manga, Gohan goes, since when were you able to turn Super Saiyan? Goten goes, I don't remember. Meaning, whatever he did was off screen. Is it a safe way out? Yeah. But at least it proves that we don't know what happened.
Which is funny because the anime tried to explain it and it was the dumbest explanation.
Well, even then, I think Gohan asked the question, does mom know you can turn Super Saiyan? So Goten probably transformed Super Saiyan before that. It's just that was the first time he used it against Chi-Chi and it upset her that he could do it. So you can still make a TV special of Trunks and Goten first turning Super Saiyan.
They won't.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Well, that's because Goten and Trunks' characters have been completely just thrown into a bucket of filler. They're filler characters at this point. How much fuckery can we get them into without actually making them have like legit fights?
Not even that. I know there was a turn before the Tournament of Power started. They dropped Goten and Trunks off to go watch over the rainforest that 17 does his poaching in. I mean, not the poaching, does his park ranger stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting a filler episode on that, and they just didn't do it.
I'm kind of glad, because that would be just so weird when we just transition from the Tournament of Power and suddenly we're in the middle of an island questioning what the hell just happened.
I mean, they could do it on the weaker fights, just show of the Tournament of Power had a lot of unnecessary characters that were just in it. I mean, 80 fighters were in it. We could have had Goku and the others just beat up on those for a while, and then main focus be Trunks, Marin, and Goten.
But there's no importance in regards to that because they're
character building, world building.
Yeah, right.
You care about that?
You're funny. You're talking about Dragon Ball?
Yeah, really.
What are you talking about? Well, that's because Dragon Ball Super's fucked the standards up. But I remember back in the day during the Saiyan Saga, there was an episode with Gohan was training in the wilderness before he got to train with Piccolo, where it was like, oh, well, this dinosaur he got along with died because he was negligent. Oh, this robot died because he kept crying too much and he didn't know what to do. Oh, he wound up in this village, but he was unable to protect the kids. So he wound up running back to train with Piccolo so he could get stronger. Like there were filler episodes that were justifiable in building Gohan's character. They just never made it into Dragon Ball Kai.
Yeah, but for Goten and Trunks, that doesn't really work. Especially considering this is especially because they technically, for example, Trunks in the Tapion movie, that technically isn't. I don't know if we decided that is canon or not. I guess it's not because he doesn't have the sword yet. Yeah. That was Trunks' development, just to give him. But the problem is, it just led into this is just going to be the same Trunks as he was in the other one. That's why people don't equate Trunks in the main timeline to the same Trunks as before. Goten and Trunks have not had any reason to be taken seriously. And it's dumb because they totally should be. But once again, they made Goten and Trunks for Gotens. Gotens, to me, was the main reason why Goten and Trunks exist. And if you're not in Gotens, then they're not relevant to fights. If you notice that.
I mean, even in Dragon Ball Fighters, that's the case, yeah.
Yeah, and even in unfortunately, Gohan has kind of gotten thrown in that same ball where it's we don't really need you for fights at all. That's why he's allowed to be a sacrifice for.
Right, and even when he actually.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even when Gotenks does make an appearance, he doesn't really do anything. Gotenks has yet to actually win a fight in Dragon Ball.
I will say he's probably one of the more entertaining Saiyans to watch because he has the most diverse moveset. It's a representation of his personality, but no other Saiyan has similar moves like that. Which tells me you can be creative with a Saiyan, you just don't want to fucking do it.
Right.
Which is why I think that I feel like Gohan and Vegeta should have had way more of a variation in their Saiyan abilities than they currently do. Because I felt like they were trying with Gohan with the Ultimate Gohan shit, and then they literally just fell off a cliff. And then Vegeta is just doing what all of Super is, which is regurgitating aspects of Z into new quote-unquote plot points of Super.
And it's not exactly going so well.
Oh, hell no. Mm-hmm. It's not even worth watching, let alone discussing it. But we're fucking nerds, so that's what we do.
Exactly.
Right.
But just going back into the Goku Blanco shenanigans and whatnot, it just baffles me with how many transformations we got in this series for Goku alone. Because you got Super Saiyan God, and you got Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, and you got Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan times 10 Kaioken. Then you got Ultra Instinct, and now you got Ultra Instinct Mastered. And it's 5 transformations in the span of one series where in Dragon Ball, I think like the max was just 3, which is Super Saiyan 1 to 3, you know?
Right, and then the grades, obviously, but they don't count because they're just different branches of Super Saiyan.
Yeah, well then again, I guess I should cross out on the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan times 10 Kaioken then, because that's technically just a boost.
Well, Dragon Ball Super for some reason treats Kaioken Blue as a transformation. I don't know why, but they treat it like that. Because remember, when he first did it, he hurt his body and stuff, and they had a whole arc around that. Now it's just like he's just using it. He's just using it constantly in the tournament. It's just like...
He's not receiving any sort of repercussions.
Right. No repercussions, no backlashes. And then I noticed you just counted off all of Goku's transformations. Let's count the other Super Saiyan transformations that come along with it. You got Kale in her Super Saiyan Berserker transformation. You got a Super Saiyan Berserker Master transformation. You got Goku Black Super Saiyan Rose. Then you got fucking Vegeta's Royal Blue transformation. It's just like, God, slow down.
No, it sells, man.
It's only for like 4 characters. And the other characters aren't getting anything. Gohan didn't get any new transformations, even though the series should have built up to him. Trunks only got a new transformation because they needed to justify his strength because he's been missing since the Cell Saga.
Oh yeah, we forgot to count that one. So like what, 10 already?
Right, Super Saiyan Rage, which is honestly, the more I look at it, the more upset I get because it's just a sloppy. We didn't know what to do with Trunks' transformation. They didn't give Gohan anything, but they kept hyping him up like he was gonna get a new transformation.
Honestly, he should have been the one to get Gohan Blanco, if anyone.
Right. So it's just like it feels like maybe it's because Super's ending and they just didn't know what else to do, so they slapped on another Super Saiyan transformation. I honestly think Goku didn't need to turn into this form at all. I feel like this was just a ploy for DLC, toys, action figures, and whatnot. Because honestly, that's kind of all Super is, and that's the sad, unfortunate part of that. Is just like we're only going to give Goku and Vegeta transformation. I honestly feel like whenever you make a saga that involves like a tournament or anything like that, I always feel like good storytelling is making the characters come out differently than they came into the tournament, like Yu Yu Hakusho or some shit.
Well, that's probably because they shouldn't have done this battle royale bullshit. It didn't help.
No,
I love the concept when it was like the 3v3.
Yeah,
3v3 would have been fine, but like this annoying ass. We need a whole bunch of fights taking place at the same time, which is interesting of a concept for a tournament arc that they did nothing with. Because it's a Shonen Jump series, you're still essentially focusing on 1 or 2 fights at a time anyway. So what the fuck what's the difference between this and a normal tournament? Oh, well, they're still in the same area doing stuff, so that means when you cut away to them, they're not sitting in the bleachers. They're just throwing stock energy blasts off into the distance that don't hit anything. And even once they got eliminated, what did they end up doing? Being commentary
sitting into the bleachers.
So you've accomplished absolutely nothing.
And it's hilarious that you mentioned that, because even like when big fights happen, like Goku versus Jiren the first time, everybody just stopped. They were just staring.
Yeah, they just stopped fucking
fighting. For no reason.
Like, guys, the ticker's still ticking.
No, we got to see this fight, man. It looks good. Can't miss out a good fight.
Yeah, and then they're pulling the Frieza bullshit. It's like we're gonna time it, and it's like there's literally only 5 minutes left when it's Goku versus Jiren. I'm like, I see what the fuck y'all doing the Frieza bullshit that was on Planet Namek, where it's only 5 minutes left, but you're gonna make 20 episodes.
Yes.
And it's just like, honestly, I feel like the tournament should have lasted like 2 days, and it shouldn't have been on one small ass ring. Because this is Dragon Ball Z. Well, the precipice of where world-breaking fights happen. Make this happen on a giant planet, well, not super giant, but like a big planet where all 80 of the fighters are in different spots fighting each other all around the planet.
Kind of reminds me of I forgot where it was, but it was in that tournament where Goku was already dead at that point, and they had like the Kai tournament, whatever it was called. You know, like I forgot.
You're not talking about the BoJack movie. The BoJack movie, I think, is what you're talking about. They did.
Right.
they did that tournament where it was all spaced out and shit.
Yeah, like the concept behind that was cool because they really had a lot of mobility in that time. Even like having the ceiling be like the.
My idea would have been to make it a traditional tournament, but have it where you're constantly warping to different universes per tournament fight.
I like that idea.
So like a field change.
It would allow.
It kind of reminds me of when Bobbity teleported everybody to the different planets to fight. Villains.
It would have been interesting to see each universe come up with their own tactics because that means each universe would get to pick a battlefield and submit it, and they would rotate between those battlefields.
And if they get in it, they can have a home field advantage then. Right. Because they know the location and they're able to kind of come up with plans prior to the fight. Whereas the new competitors are going to be completely unaware of their surroundings.
Yeah, and it would have created more interesting setups for fights. And granted, maybe not every tournament battle is going to be like this traditional battlefield, but some of them could be. And it would have been a good rotation of showing off the other universes and still having varied locations.
Yeah, it would have done a great job with world building or universe building for that matter.
Yeah, but fucking, that's agreed. Well, if they were going to do that, what they should have done is the universe tournament arc literally should have been the last arc in Super, which ironically it still will be. But after they had shown off the other universes, where maybe some universes they got along with and some universes they didn't. They should have had arcs based around some, if not all, of the universes with different characters.
Yeah, let us know how they are, their locations, their lives, and all that. But no,
I would have did arcs where like maybe maybe like Krillin, Yamcha, Tien, like some of the lower tier characters go to a particular universe to train. Like they're offered, well, if you want to train, you can come here to Universe 3 or Universe 2 or some shit. They go to Universe 3 and 2, they go train while also getting into the shenanigans of an arc and that in that universe. Right. That way, when the tournament comes back up, it's like, oh shit, I gotta fight my bros from Universe 3 and 2, and then it becomes kind of an emotional thing.
It's sad when a filler saga, a small short filler saga in Dragon Ball Z can pull that off better. I don't know if you guys remember the other World Tournament saga. It was a short little thing with Goku, Pikkon, and Oliu.
That's the one I was talking about before, actually.
Right. It's just like, before Goku fights Pikkon, Pikkon's not just a silent warrior with his arms crossed. I mean, he does have some of those traits. But before they even do that, Goku just tags along with Pikkon on a mission in order to set some villains straight in HFIL. And when that happens, they have a form of camaraderie there because they worked together. So now this fight is more personal between Goku and Pikkon because they both seen each other fight a little bit. They know what each other's capable of. But Pikkon never loses his seriousness about the situation, whereas Goku's just sort of goofing around with all of his opponents, and it kind of pisses Pikkon off. So now it's become personal. And we know these characters a lot more. We know they're both good guys, but Pikkon's still a fucking threat because he's serious about the situation, and Goku's just sort of in it to win it right now. It's sad when a filler saga in Dragon Ball Z, right? And meanwhile, we got this saga throwing up 80 characters and going, well, we didn't develop any. Yeah, just good luck.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up because you guys were talking about the whole emotion between Universe 2, 3, etc. It reminded me of the episode where Gohan went up against that one particular enemy and defeated him and knocked him off the stage. And in the ground, he found like a little necklace.
Locket.
Yeah, locket that showcases the family members before they disappeared. And it would have been a lot more emotional if, say, like what Terrell said earlier, get these various universes to be together to then lead up to this emotional moment. The impact would have been much greater there, you know. And unfortunately, that never turned out to be the case. Instead, it was more like we ended up just focusing on Universe 6, Universe 7, and a little bit of Universe 11, was it?
Yeah, well, we had to because they were the main villain universe.
Yeah, so it was just very quick, and it's unfortunate because they have like some pretty cool concepts that I want to see be fleshed upon, like the whole Pride Troopers, that's a pretty cool gimmick and something I would have loved to see how it plays out in that said universe. How do they catch the criminals? How do they work? All that kind of stuff. Even build a little bit on Jiren's character. But
that's funny.
Yeah, I know, but
the manga tried. I'll give the manga some credit where credit is due. Toyotaro does the manga, and he basically had Jiren say, "Yeah, I'll be in the tournament, but the second Universe 11's in danger, I quit."
Yeah. Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, that's the manga's version.
Huh.
Yeah, because Toyotaro knows what he's doing.
It's just unfortunate that he's gonna have to bum rush through a lot of these is all.
Yeah.
Because I will say this, he's doing a lot of things right with the whole Trunks saga. I felt there were some cool concepts in the Trunks saga that he did in the manga that weren't handled in the anime, Right. But unfortunately, like we just said, he has to rush through it to catch up with where Super is at right now. And I'm curious to see if he's actually going to continue after Super comes to a close,
Probably.
I hope so, because
Toyotaro sort of gotten the torch, probably, of where Toriyama's going to leave off. Because I think that's probably one of the reasons, too, is Toriyama's sort of done with Super.
And just to kind of throw in another issue I personally have is that how is it that you have some insanely interesting designs of background characters, but our main villain is an alien head-looking motherfucker? When I would argue that Hit, design-wise, is more interesting than that. I mean, Hit is kind of what I wanted them to do more of, where they would, if you're gonna take the similar race, do something interesting with the race. Don't do this fucking dumb shit where you essentially just regurgitate exactly the same character just with a slightly different shade of colors, which is what they did with Frost. Because Frost is just Frieza, I guess a less evil Frieza, I guess, in the sense that he would get tricked by Frieza, and Hit is cooler, but he's actually cooler, which is funny to make that joke. Jiren to me is literally taking the most basic ass design. He has a head, he has arms. He's muscular, and he has bug eyes because he literally looks like a traditional alien. Topo looks better than you.
Yeah. They tried to justify all of this by giving him some form of a backstory.
Which is also basic, too.
Yeah, the backstory was
fucking Cliff Notes.
Yeah, the backstory was basic as hell, too. It's long time ago, this alien-looking motherfucking kid found his family killed by a villain.
For being the main antagonist of the arc, he's just being rushed through, At least with the Trunks saga with Goku Black and all that, they actually took time to develop the character as they progressed on with the saga. Here it's just oh shit, we have 3 episodes left. We gotta find a way to shoehorn in some form of backstory for Jiren. Let's give him the most basic thing we've ever had. In regards to, your family died. Oh, you went with another master. Oh, they died. Oh, now you don't trust no one no more. Oh, you're now using these Pride Troopers just to get what you want, etc., it's just so simple, and I just feel for a character who's supposed to be the big finale, because we're reaching the end of Super, it's underwhelming. It really is, so.
It is. It's just, and that goes with a lot of problems in just Dragon Ball in general. It's just as far as Super goes, I feel as though Super has shown me what happens when a series that I love so much basically becomes a sellout. And that really hurts me to say that too, because that's pretty much what I've been thinking about it ever since, I want to say since Goku Black Saga. I gave it some chance after, once we got to Shampa's arc, because I was okay, maybe this gives them the chance to do something different. I saw that they weren't doing it, and then I gave it the benefit of the doubt when I saw that Zamasu was a Kai, and they were trying, and he was slowly turning corrupt and evil, and I was maybe they actually do focus on character. Nope. Goku turned Super Saiyan Rose. We found out that he's fucking Zamasu, which everybody figured out when the saga started. And then after that, it was just a mess. And I was just done. And then I was like, I'll stick around for the Tournament of Power because maybe they'll try. I see that they're bringing characters back, so maybe they'll actually develop. Nope, they're not developing them. They're just rushing them in. And then it's just like, oh, okay, well, Goku got a new transformation that isn't a Super Saiyan transformation. It's a transformation based off something that we built up 2 sagas ago. So maybe this will be a good payoff. Nope, the villain's complete cardboard trash. And in addition to that, they somehow had to make an already transformed transformation transform again because apparently Ultra Instinct just wasn't strong enough for some reason.
Because it wasn't complete.
We gotta address that the fact that Super suffers from regurgitating arc setups entirely.
Right.
Like, the Universe 6 tournament is the first real arc. And what is it? Oh, it's just a tournament.
And then they have another tournament right after.
Yeah, like it's the most basic thing you can do. Oh, what's the Goku Black Saga? Oh, it's just a variation on the Android Saga. That's great. And then we get to is this only the third original arc now that I think about the Universe Power tournament?
There are mini arcs, but yeah.
Yeah, like the Patafu crap in between.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, it was only like 3 episodes on this.
Hey, Vegeta's Ocean Dub voice actor.
Okay, but still doesn't count.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking count. So we've only had 3 original arcs, and I guess you could argue the Universe of Power is the only technical original arc in its entirety, which I would still argue it's not.
Right.
So 2 out of the 3 arcs are rehashes of other arcs, which is I would say is one of Super's biggest annoying fucking problems. There's nothing new in Super. What's super about Super when you're just reusing concepts from earlier arcs? Oh, the reason why Golden Frieza can't beat Goku isn't because he isn't stronger. It's because he focused all his time training up on power that he didn't use a speed up. Okay, fine. That's kind of it's okay as a callback because it was the first time you did it, and then they proceeded to do it again like 2 to 3 other fucking times. It's that same shit where they keep pulling stuff from other arcs, even when we still thought Fat Boo was gonna be a part of the Universe 7 crew. Mm-hmm. What was his power up? Oh, he just looks like Skinny Boo from fucking the Boo saga. That's not a power up. That's pretty lazy. You could have just gave him a different form, or maybe that he was still fat. Or maybe the fat was more like there's a bunch of things you could have done with his design.
I will say though, at least the Skinny Boo, the design wise, still look different enough to separate from the Evil Boo from the original DBC saga.
But is that just because his eyes were closed? Is that what that is? And he didn't have all the decked out outfits? Like people forget, because people need to realize the Boo saga was not like the best arc quality wise, but you know the reason why people like that arc, because it was still entertaining and different. Super literally regurgitates shit from those arcs, so like none of the arcs feel fresh and new. Like the Zamasu shit is an interesting concept.
The execution though,
the execution was so bad, and they did the same thing where they revolved it around the idea of, oh, we got to bring back Future Trunks. We changed his hair color for some fucking reason. His hair used to be purple, now it's fucking blue all of a sudden. All right, it's fine, cool. It's the same Trunks. Oh yeah, it's totally the same Trunks.
Even when he's standing right next to Kid Trunks, who has purple fucing hair.
Yeah, it's like, did we just not learn our lesson at all?
No.
I mean, granted, I do like the whole. I've always enjoyed Thriller Peel-Off stuff purely because it was an interesting direction to take those characters. So I kind of like the idea of them implying that Mai and Trunks get together. Although, which ironically means that Kid Trunks now has way more development than Goten does, and Goten's literally just sitting there looking like a normal ass, looking like a bland face ass Goku.
And that development isn't even because of him; it's because Kid Trunks is the past version of a Trunks that we already learned about in Dragon Ball Z. Like if Trunks didn't carry as much weight as he did, I think Trunks and Goten would have about the same development.
Oh no, that's good. Yeah, you're completely right on that. And the problem is that you have that as a sub. You know what you could do? You could make your Trunks different from the Trunks that currently exist. Allow him to earn his respect his own way.
Right.
Then you got 2 Trunkses you can enjoy. You want main universe Trunks or side universe Trunks? No one gives a fuck about main universe Trunks at all.
He hasn't earned it yet.
He hasn't earned
just
a goddamn
moving back
shit.
a little bit to the whole
what?
Sorry. Moving back to the whole. Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second. You cut out. I was saying, moving back to the whole sagas things, Dragon Ball Super. I will admit, even because like Dragon Ball even did it. Dragon Ball had 3 tournament arcs.
Yeah.
The first time that Goku and Krillin entered the tournament. The second time was when they fought off against Tien, and the third time Goku fought off against Piccolo Jr. But the thing about those tournaments and why they worked so well in Dragon Ball was because things were happening in that tournament that changed the course of these characters and how they acted. Goku and Krillin entered the tournament the first time because it was the ending result of them training with Master Roshi. And thus their characters got developed because they lost to Jackie Chun, which was Master Roshi in disguise. It was teaching them a lesson. The second tournament was basically Turtle School versus Crane School. And just Tien's development as a character and him gaining more respect as a fighter rather than him just being an asshole assassin. The third tournament revolved around Piccolo's revenge against losing Goku the last time. And what better way to do it than humiliate him in a fighting arena and kill him while you're at it, because he's still a villain. And thus we ended up getting one of the greatest allies out of Goku sparing him. So at least shit was happening in those tournaments. These are just, Beerus and Champa are bored. They want to have a tournament. Oh, the god of all gods is bored, so they want to have a tournament.
Yeah. I think now that I think about it, another issue I also have, just going back to just a little bit of the power-ups, it really makes a lot of the other allies very unimportant, you know? Because it's like, they no longer can be to the level or be near the level of where Goku and Vegeta are at. You know, Piccolo trains and all that, yeah, sure, but he can never get up there to where Goku and Vegeta are at. Like,
yeah, that was a problem I had since Resurrection F, actually.
That was a problem in Z.
It's really like in Z. It ended with the Android Saga. Like Android Saga, at least the characters were still somewhat on par. They were
all around the same level, right? Like obviously, Krillin, Yamcha, and maybe debatably Tien were weaker, but they were still able to put up fights.
Yeah,
like Tien was able to Shinki Koho spam Cell to the ground. Krillin was able to fight off Imperfect Cell for a short little while. And hell, even Yamcha working together with Tien was able to fight off a Cell Jr. for a bit. So they were all on the same playing field. Now it's just like, unless you're... and I'll admit, Dragon Ball Z isn't perfect. They had their problems around the Majin Buu arc.
Yeah, the Buu arc was literally the arc where they were like...
Unless you're saying you're useless.
No, it wasn't even that. It was literally like... We want this to be like, because the arc should have been is the Gohan's first like real foray into trying to save the world without his dad, and what it devolved into is that your little brother and his friend had to come help you. Then you got your shit together. Then you had to deal with the fuckery that was absorption, and then your dad had to come save you, and it really just devolved back into Goku and Vegeta are going to have to save the day with a little bit of help from Hercule and Fat Boo. And it was like, so after all that, it still devolves into Goku and Vegeta dealing with it. And
yeah, it's basically Goku and friends.
And so essentially, and that's essentially what every arc has been since then. Resurrection F was the same fuckery, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
It was pitiful.
It tripped me out because it wasn't, I mean, fine. The human characters are one thing. You had characters like Piccolo and Gohan get reduced to like fuck boys. And it was like, yo, they're right there. Gohan potentially has the power to destroy the world if he wanted to. And you tell me this guy you can't even let this man fight Frieza for a little while? Like at all?
Yeah, just to show how far he has developed, because he's no longer the same like in the Frieza saga.
That was the problem. And look, I don't mind the direction they were going with Gohan as far as him becoming a family man and not focusing on fighting. I actually think it would have been better to have an arc revolved around Gohan to make him get back into the fighting spirit instead of what ended up happening, which is that he made the decision to get back into the fighting spirit and did absolutely nothing with that spirit.
No. And we didn't even get any development until the finale of the Trunks arc, because we just saw him for a bit with in his ultimate state, you know, when he was waving goodbye to Trunks before he went off to a different dimension again. And that was the last time we actually saw him truly train and whatnot.
And it feels like to me that they completely forgot Gohan's character in the course of Dragon Ball Z and Cell Saga all the way up till Majin Buu Saga and even in Super. I don't know why they keep putting Gohan in this ultimatum of, okay, either you're a fighter or you're a bookworm. Choose.
Yeah, stick with one.
No, it's not even just that. I don't know why they always put him into that ultimatum as if he doesn't have a choice. In Dragon Ball Z, Gohan was a bookworm, right? He did like to study and do all of that. But the whole point of Gohan was that he wasn't like Goku. He fought to protect. He didn't fight for the thrill of it. He fought to protect family and friends and stuff like that. So he still fought and got stronger and had reasons for doing so. He wanted to protect the people he loves, which was more of a humane reason rather than Goku was just, I want to fight strong guys. So there was a bit of a middle ground for Gohan to give him a reason to fight. Whereas in Dragon Ball Super, it's Gohan automatically has to get weaker because, he looked at a book for a couple of seconds.
Well, you want to know why they bring that up? They bring it up because guess what? They brought it up in Z. Oh, you haven't been training since your dad died. You've gotten weaker, Gohan. And what's this Saiyaman shit? And I'm like, yo, look, it's fine if he got weaker because in Buu Saga he had to learn to get his shit together. And then guess what? They gave him another fucking out in Super where he just completely forgot what he was doing because Gohan was getting his shit together and towards the end of Z. And they said just because he became a fighter doesn't mean he can't fight anymore. It's almost the weird shit that happened with Videl for some fucking reason. Videl went from being a tomboy to this really mellowed out woman.
She's bland.
And it was like, what the fuck? How did this happen?
Well, yeah, her personality just completely disappeared.
They literally
not even looking at the same woman anymore.
I remember when the fucking preview art had came out for the characters in for Battle of Gods, and we start seeing what the new characters look like. And I remember I hated most of the designs. I hated the way Krillin looked. I hated the way Gohan looked. I didn't even know that was Videl. Someone had to tell me that was Videl. I was like, who the fuck is that? They're like, that's Videl. I'm like, there's no way in fucking hell that's Videl. There's nothing about that image of Videl currently that makes you think, oh, that's totally Videl. It's not. It's a fucking imposter who you put up there because you wanted her to look softer and weaker. You took even Chi-Chi and Bulma, who were both tomboys by nature, are more manly than Videl was. And Videl didn't take any shit back in Z. And it's just this weird degradation in characters, and the fact that that Super was afraid to allow them to grow at all. Because even having Tien and Roshi and Krillin and Piccolo, they're gonna get new moves, and all their new moves are variations on their old move. And I'm like, bruh. So you can give Goku all 3 or 5 or 8 different transformations, but you couldn't give Krillin a new move,
and not even the right move. They gave Krillin this super solar flare technique. Krillin isn't even the one who invented the damn solar flare technique. That's Tien Shinhan's attack.
And I don't even think he ever used the full super flare in the tournament, did he?
He used it once, but
he used the solar flare, but not the super. Did he?
He tried to, but it was useless because the fighter he was fighting was blind any damn way.
They should have had him do something with Destructo Disc. If you were going to create a variation.
Right.
But the problem is...
because that's his actual move.
The problem is, what can you do with it?
Yeah, the field is pretty much... Yeah.
So it's like, well, you can't really do anything with it. Why is that the only variation?
There is that one episode, Goku fought Jiren and sort of used it to split up the area so Jiren could fall, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So my issue is more of why not give them new moves? you had them all train. Why not give them at least one new technique to do anything? But wait, that'd be called being original. We ain't about that life.
Well, right. You say training, but they only had 24 hours.
Right.
Because
the time crunch.
Yeah, they didn't have that much time to begin with, so the only characters that we really know who were truly training were probably Tien, which didn't really do much in the tournament, Piccolo, because he's always normally training, Gohan, because he's training with Piccolo, Vegeta.
But they're not fucking full-blooded Saiyans, so no Zenkai boost for anyone except for Gohan.
Yeah. And it just saddens me because these characters, they have potential to grow as, not just only fighters, but just as characters and persons themselves. I love the whole idea and concept behind Goku versus Krillin. The fight they had with one another during the Tournament of Power arc was awesome. But when we got to the tournament itself and he got eliminated first and all that, it's just like...
Oh, that was the worst feeling in the world. I remember I saw that shit in the previews, the scans that came out. I went, no, how fucking dare you? You kept Roshi and Tien in this bitch before Krillin?
Roshi for a long fucking time.
Why in the fuck?
They kept Roshi for a disgustingly amount of time. I'm like, dude, this is fucking Roshi. He even admitted that he retired from fighting. He's done. The only reason I think Roshi is here is because of the Resurrection F movie and the fact that y'all wanted to bring an old man into it. So y'all can do y'all stupid ass, old man saw female character get all pervy. I'm
It was not well written at all.
I'm like, this joke is old. Literally,
as old as Roshi?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much the joke is played out. The joke was played out when Jiraiya from Naruto did it.
Yeah. But that didn't stop him.
Yeah, it's just this whole show, I feel like it's just anime at its basic, at its most basic form. Which is sad because Dragon Ball Z was the precipice for most anime. A lot of the animes that we see today have gotten their fighting choreography inspired from Dragon Ball Z. They've gotten the crazy transformations inspired from Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. So it's so weird for me to look at something that started up a phenomenon of animes doing classic tropes, and now I see that it's come back only to meet anime at its bare minimum. It's kind of like watching an artist paint something and all the other artists are trying to copy that artist's style. And then when that artist comes out of retirement to do it again, he's doing worse than he did when he originally started and is copying everybody else's stuff instead.
So the most basic shit imaginable.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, as Tyrell mentioned, Dragon Ball Z set the foundation for a lot of other anime series to be what they are today, and now it seems like Dragon Ball Super is just literally trying to mimic what made DBC so great, but they failed to bring some of the most important aspects from Z. And
you like originality?
Aside from just that, but one of my other complaints I have with this series, surprisingly, is the development for the characters, the slice of life type of segments for the series. One of my personal
if you're gonna do slice of life, do it well and have the characters gain something from these things. There's no point in doing slice of life in a Shonen Jump series if there is no development to it.
My personal favorite episode regarding that was in Super, surprisingly, when it was during that time that Goku couldn't actually use his powers no more, given from the fight he had with Hit, So you got to see him babysit Pan for a bit. And there came those segments where you got to see him actually act like I think it was a grandfather, correct? Just act like a grandfather to Pan,
I remember that.
Just having the little girl just be in his arms and just making her fly and all that. Elements like those are so fantastic, especially when it gets later into the episode where he starts freaking out because he can't use any of his powers. He can't, just instant transmission to Pan. He can't do anything. And you start seeing him begin to panic, and then he starts screaming out Pan because he's worried. Like, stuff like that is great. I want to see more of that, but the problem is that was the last time I truly got to see Goku act that way, where he
like
really
have an emotion other than derp,
other than just simply trying to fight.
They've always been inconsistent with Goku's emotions to begin with, though.
Well, like I said, Dragon Ball Z made him most, and dare I say this is ironic, but they made him the most human. And since that he felt sorrow, he felt anger, he felt cockiness, he felt joy, things like that. And then Super just sort of fixated him on one dimension. It's just like he derpishly just loves fights. And then it's kind of weird, you know. I remember that when you mentioned that with the Goku being serious about looking Pan thing, when that happened, I just because I watched the Japanese version, but I imagine Sean Schemmel doing Goku, and I believe that Funimation did a lot of like the making Goku have more emotions thing. So it's just like I don't even feel like Funimation can save Goku at this point.
No, because it's part of the story. You can't really change the story that much from sub to dub. You know, it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but it's really risky. You can end up making a lot of faults to where it's even worse than the original concept.
Right. And Terrell, maybe you can agree with me on this one. I feel like the moment that even, because I think we both come into agreement that Majin Buu saga was the saga that just sort of gave us a sign that things were going to go downhill from here. But the highlight moment, I believe, was Goku versus Majin Vegeta. I feel like after that, everything just sort of fell apart.
No, even after Vegeta's death, I think that's where it all fell apart.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that's a much better comparison. Yeah,
but I feel like that the finalization of that.
Yeah, like because like a lot of emotions were done in that fight. My favorite scene isn't even when they're fighting; it's when they're at the World Martial Arts Tournament. Vegeta blows up like half the arena, and then talks to Goku as to why he's doing all this shit. That's my favorite scene in Dragon Ball history. And then it's like, look at that scene, and then look at this scene where Goku, Vegeta, and Beerus are about to eat noodles, and Vegeta's just like, "Thanks for the food," and it's like, ugh.
No, but like that part, it shows how much he has developed from when he was at the start of Z to where he's at right now. Like, you're starting to see those elements of him starting to grow attached to not only his family, but also to become a little bit more, I guess, softer in a way.
KJ, there's a difference between developing your character and taking away their traits. If I take a character and they've acted this way several times. Okay, Naruto's a good example of this. Naruto, at the beginning, was this foolish little child who was obnoxious. Now, when he turns into a teenager, he gets more mature and serious, but he still is Naruto. He still has the traits of Naruto. He still acts clueless sometimes. He still does goofy mistakes. He doesn't lose his Naruto character. He doesn't start acting emo. He doesn't start becoming completely ditzy. He gets mature, but he didn't lose his character. Vegeta can still be a good guy. He can still be a good guy without being goofy. This Vegeta's goofy. And I don't have time to deal with the Vegeta that has become completely just an idiot. You can't make a comic relief character out of a straight man. And I feel like Dragon Ball Super did that to Vegeta. A lot of people are all like, Vegeta's become such a great guy. You can be a good guy and still have your traits that made you who you are. I remember there was a scene where Goku makes a joke about telling the others not to punch him in the gut because he ate so much food. And Vegeta makes the smart remark, the first thing I'm going to do after once I fight Kakarot is punch him in the gut. He's still a good guy. He turned into a good guy. This is the Majin Buu saga guy. But he still got that attitude around him that made him Vegeta.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not even going to let that pass. I think the best moment of Vegeta that shows that he was a good guy was when Trunks got shot down by Cell, and Vegeta just ballistically raged towards Cell. It's like, yeah, this is Vegeta. I expect Vegeta to rage out on shit. It's just this time he's raging out on something that concerns not just him. It's the care that he has for his son now. So he's still Vegeta. He just developed a fatherly trait.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's part of the reason why I think one of my favorite sequences, Battle Gods, and I think a lot of people like sequence, is when he's about to get killed by Beerus, and Bulma's like, "All right, no, I've had enough of this shit," and walks up and slaps Beerus, and Beerus knocks her down, and he's like, "How dare you? That's my Bulma!" and just runs at this man full force. He just wasn't having it, and also to me, that's just a good representation of their relationship anyway. That the woman that he's into is the woman who would literally walk up to a guy and say, "Fuck you."
Right.
You're not gonna do this.
Yeah, but during that whole time, he's still Vegeta. He's not like this. I don't know why, but there's this one scene where Bulma tells Vegeta to go find all the Dragon Balls, and he bows his head and flies off. I'm like, what the fuck? This is the Vegeta that when he got to planet Earth after the whole Frieza fiasco, is all like, "Servant woman, bring me a washcloth at once." Like that. That's the Vegeta I know and love, and yet he's developed, and he can still take orders from Bulma because Bulma's a tomboyish woman. But I feel like there's different ways they could have done it. They didn't have to make Vegeta a bitch and bow down all comically and be like, "Yes, Bulma." They could have just had him, Vegeta, just go like, "Such a pain," and he does it anyway, though.
But isn't the reason why he was panicking and all that was because Beerus was there? And of course, Beerus has the ability to destroy.
I'll give you an example of when he panicked about a warrior that was stronger than him. So he had to make drastic decisions because of that. Frieza.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Broly for a second. I was about to smack you.
Fuck Broly. Frieza. Frieza was clearly out of Vegeta's Frieza was clearly out of Vegeta's league. Vegeta did sneaky shit to make sure that he wouldn't get caught by Frieza. And then when Frieza's Ginyu Force were coming, or when Frieza was on his way, he still acted afraid, but he still took matters into a wave only Vegeta could take them. He was like, "Damn it, Frieza's coming. Guess I have no choice but to team up with these guys," or like something. Like, he still made drastic decisions. He didn't become a bitch about it, like in Dragon Ball Super. Whereas in Dragon Ball Super, it's like, oh, well, Vegeta is bowing his head and sweating at his neck because Beerus told him to do something, or Beerus is just standing in front of him. If he's afraid of a warrior, that's fine. You can still implement fear and still make the character still act like the character. Vegeta was afraid of Frieza, but it wasn't to the point where he was acting like a little punk ass in front of him. If anything, he sometimes acted cocky out of fear so that he could bluff Frieza out. Where he kept saying, "Oh, I turned into a Super Saiyan, Frieza."
So pretty much, even to me, this just pokes holes in Battle of Gods in a way.
Oh, yeah. And then don't even get me started on the Beerus planet Vegeta Frieza bullshit. That made Frieza look like a bitch, because it was like, oh, Frieza didn't plan on destroying planet Vegeta because Frieza was just an evil Hitler space asshole. He planned on destroying the planet Vegeta because Beerus told him to destroy planet Vegeta.
Well, to be fair, I think I honestly would say Super is just taking a lot of the seriousness. Period.
That's true.
Like, completely. Like, nothing's scary in Dragon Ball. Nothing's concerning. Nothing, especially with all the way they've handled the shit so far, and the way they've, and the fact that this takes place before the end of Z, kind of, kills any tension that you could have had. But then again, honestly, at this point, I'm just going to treat Super like I treat GT, kind of a waste of time that doesn't really matter to the canon.
And I was just about to ask that as well. So I was going to say, closing this out a bit, because I think we've been talking for a bit about it. We'll start with UKG. How do you, with this transformation and just everything that's gone out in Super and it ending literally in I want to say a couple of weeks, how do you feel what do you feel just about the series, just all of it, Dragon Ball as a whole, based on what Super has done? Do you feel like, I guess I should ask, do you feel like Super needed to happen?
I don't think Super needed to happen, but if it had to, which of course it did, I don't mind it. My main complaint is just that I felt with the execution, they just failed on many parts that made Z so entertaining to watch to begin with. With Super, there are a lot of unique elements and surprises and twists that makes the series a lot of fun to watch. It's just that it was handled poorly, in my opinion. I still enjoy the series. You know, it's one of those weird shows where it's like I don't care about logic. I don't think about these things logically. I just watch the show as is and just see what kind of crazy shenanigans they decide to come up with next. Because, you know, with Super and the direction they're heading with this series, you know, it's kind of having to be treated that way. Overall, I'm still fine with Super. I don't mind it. It's just it's there, I guess. It exists. Is all I could say, really.
You're saying that basically it's thrown into the pile of other shows that came after Z that had potential but lost it.
Yeah, and the worst part is we can't go back and undo all this, you know, to refine some of the things. It's already part of the canon at this point, you know. And that's the main issue I have. It's like at least with GT, you know, there was a gap between Z and GT to at least give us some kind of room to work around with. And with Super, it's basically taking place in between that. And in fact, I almost completely forgot to bring this up. It seems like Super is going to be heading into the GT route soon. Because didn't they bring up about Oob in one of the episodes before they ended up going to the Tournament of Power?
In the anime, they talked about him, but they realized that he was too young in order to be of any use in the tournament.
Yeah, they said there was a hidden potential or something regarding
the manga. Yeah, and in the manga, you can actually see him for a brief second.
No, I'm gonna have to check on that later. But yeah, overall, Super's there. I still enjoy the show. I just have my fair share of complaints with it. You know, it's
right. Okay.
Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'll pass it on to you then.
Yeah, all right then, Terrell. What? I know you didn't watch Super consistently enough, so I guess the question is a little altered for you. As someone who's watched a crap ton of anime, such as yourself, I've seen all your reviews and stuff. As far as series go, at least shonen go, because I know you've watched a fair share of shonen as well. What do you feel like dropping off this shonen was a good idea for you?
Yeah. And the reason why is simple. There are basic ass shonen I read currently that is more entertaining than. Currently I read a series that some people might know because the anime is currently airing, although the anime is pretty much on the same tier as Dragon Ball Super's, where it's fucking inconsistent as shit. Which is Black Clover. Black Clover plot wise is generic. It's like pretty basically generic. If anyone's seen Mare, which is I believe is Marching Awakening Romance, or Zatch Bell, it's on that same tier of it's not really anything special at its core, but it's very enjoyable and entertaining to watch and has a lot of heart. Super doesn't even have heart. Super likes to pretend like it has a heart, but it's
using an artificial heart.
Yeah, it's like it stole the dead heart out of Z. That's what it did.
Right.
It took Z's dead heart, threw it in his chest, and said, "This works." No, it's not pumping blood. It works. Damn it! No, there's no blood pumping through. I am Z now. Right. I am the savior of Z, and you're just like,
Z didn't even need saving to begin with, though.
Yeah, like it's some fucking garbage. So for me, walking away from Super is like one of the easiest fucking things to do because Super doesn't do anything inherently or amazingly better than the original. There are a few things about Super that might be cool, but I don't think the few things really justify its existence, which I've made statements about Samurai Jack Season 5 in a similar vein, and people have gotten very angry with me about it.
Goku beating Hit was probably the most original thing I can think of in Dragon Ball Super. Well, he didn't even beat Hit, but like, you know, when he had that big climax part of the fight. That's it. Only thing I can think of.
Yeah, like I just don't think like if people enjoy it and there are some moments that they got out of that they're enjoyable. Because I'm not gonna lie, I love all the Krillin and 18 moments. out of Super, because I think that's like the best couple in that fucking show.
I like the score. I like the music in the damn series.
I like there are aspects of Super I can sit down and watch and enjoy to a degree. Doesn't fucking mean it's good. Doesn't even mean it's even close to being like decent. It just means it has elements. It's
I like the baseball episode of Super.
Yeah, that's like saying, oh, well, I like Naruto, and I've seen clips of aspects of Boruto that I like. Boruto can still be fucking garbage, which by the way it is. But
but that's for another day.
Yeah, we'll just leave that at that.
I disagree with that, but then yeah.
Damn.
I know it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You're wrong, but it's fine.
I never watched Boruto. I Naruto'd out and never watched Boruto.
And you did yourself a service. You should never watch Boruto.
You're doing yourself a disservice, man. You should.
Please, Boruto at its best is mediocre, right?
And
that's at its best. That's not even at its worst. It's literally on the same level as Super in a lot of cases.
I guess to end things off, then I'll go ahead and say my thoughts just to wrap it up. Now, I am a guy, and you know what's odd? I don't even watch Dragon Ball Z primarily for the fight. I'm one of the people that actually love the episode where like Goku and Piccolo went to drive. Like, that's what we're talking as far as what I'm into in Dragon Ball Z. It's more or less what they do with the characters that makes me so interested, which is why Super sucks so bad, because Super can't use any of the characters unless they're needed for that moment. But it's just like, I am so disappointed to watch the same series where Trunks refused to fight Cell when Vegeta was still conscious because he was afraid of Vegeta's reaction to know that Trunks was stronger than him. So he threw away that for his pride. The same series where Goku watched Vegeta die and cry himself down there afterwards, which drove Goku to march forward and embrace the same heritage to fight Frieza. Like the same series that took such huge steps in 1990 is showing it's just cutting corners and trying to sell so many toys and DLC and just bullcrap that's non-justifiable. And I just don't like seeing a series that I'm into so much be treated with such little care and being drugged down to the ground. Mostly because I know that this is a series that has done better before. It's sad to see that when Dragon Ball, which is a series we rarely talk about for some reason, Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball with Kid Goku, is 1,000 times more entertaining. It's just a comic series, a comic gag series with some fighting in it. And I would watch that a billion times over before I even consider touching Dragon Ball Super again. I feel like every episode I watch is a chore to watch. I always find something to be upset about, and it's not because I'm looking, it's because the series consistently goes, oh, let's pull some cliche BS, and hopefully that'll keep them satisfied for another week. Because the pacing is ridiculously fast in Dragon Ball Super, but for all the wrong reasons. And I guess it's because they got backlash for being slow on Planet Namek. But my closing thoughts basically are just that I'm disappointed, and honestly, if they make another Dragon Ball series right after that, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Really? You're going to go that far?
I will keep up to date with what's happening, kind of like what Terrell's doing, but I'm not going to invest my time if all they're going to do is give Goku a new palette swap of hair, give Vegeta some goofy character traits and call that development, and then bring back a character we haven't seen in a long time and rush develop them so that we can feel sorry for them once they have their inevitable death or unnecessary transformation. Bring in some new Super Saiyans with tits. And if that's all they're going to show me, then I'm not interested. I'm not interested in... to me, Dragon Ball Super feels like a snack. Like, you eat it really fast, it tastes good in the moment, but it's not gonna fill you up. And Dragon Ball Z felt like a meal. If that makes any, I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it's
that's fine. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it felt like it was full. And honestly, Dragon Ball Z isn't exactly safe either. If it were up to me, it would have ended after Cell died. That's just my choice.
That's where it originally was planned to end, wasn't it?
Well, actually, it was after Goku beat Frieza.
No, but I mean after.
Going through all that again.
Yeah. It was there have been plenty of stopping points for Dragon Ball, but at least the Cell Saga had the decency to give everything decent closure. And I think the reason that people didn't like it was like that ending was because it involved Goku being dead forever, and people just couldn't cope with Goku being dead forever.
No,
because we don't want progression in our shows.
Yeah, well, we don't want character arcs of Goku maturing as a person, realizing that his appearance. Yeah, his appearance is what draws villains in. Nah, fuck that. We need to see him punch more people in the face.
Exactly. After episode 5 of Super, which I think was the Goku versus Beerus battle, I think many people should have already known where Super was going to head from that point onward. Because clearly, if you saw how bad that episode was, then you clearly know that this show is, meant for marketing.
Right. And that's all it pretty much was, which is sad because I believe KG and Dean, I believe, had such high hopes for the series when we started. And then when we got introduced to episode 5, we ragtagged the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah. We had like an hour discussion just focusing on those particular segments of that fight. And just like for a first encounter in the anime, and that's how you're handling it?
Right. It's just like they're taking piss poor steps. If you wanted to bring something that had high quality, you needed to step up to its standards. So, yeah, this series was completely unacceptable. And dare I say it? I'm going to say it. I believe GT is better.
He said it. I'm not going to respond to that because...
I don't have a response for that. I'm not going to.
No, hear me out on this one. GT may have had poor execution. But you know what? At least it had some potential. Super had potential. Super? I would say Super has some potential as well, but like there was some hidden meanings behind some of those things. Like, for example, the first one that they had to fight was Baby Vegeta. First of all, he was a threat because he was a parasite. Second of all, he was based off something that involved the Saiyans having to reconcile some sins that they did in the past. The Saiyans betrayed the Truffles. This is what they get. I called them Truffles, didn't I? The Tuffles. I'm sorry. Saiyans betrayed the Tuffles.
The Tuffles of the Truffles.
Yes. But this is what they had to deal with. The Saiyan, all of the Z Warriors on planet Earth, Dragon Balls 2, they got to deal with Shadow Dragons now. Like, at least there was a hidden message behind it. Whereas in Super, it's like, the gods got bored. Let's have all the Z Warriors fight each other. Fuck it. The people really like Trunks. Bring them back. But I will admit, Super has some good music. The score is beautiful. I like the score.
I love that piano piece from the recent episode.
Yeah, I love the music. The music's good.
Yeah, and I can't wait. Speaking of which, that's coming out, I think, this week. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that CD.
Yeah, good score, guys. Good job on that. But I think after that, I think we've pretty much worn everything out. I literally just said that GT's better, and that's weird. But
surprisingly, even after this discussion and all that, I'm still looking forward to these last few episodes just to see how it's gonna actually end. Because of course,
I feel like it's gonna be rushed because it ends in March and we're at the end of February. So
and we're not even gonna have an episode this week.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, what is there like one episode left then? Shit.
3, I think.
Probably 3. Which means they're gonna rush this ending like a motherfucker. But yeah, with that said, thank you guys so much for being in this video. I know a lot of time, and thank you guys in the you viewers for listening, because I know it's probably been a long rant.
It's a super rant.
Right, Insane Game Freak. I'm glad to have you here, man. Glad you show up.
It's all good. I'm gonna black out before all this GT talk and this DBZ talk.
Right.
I need some good shows in my life right now because this is too much negativity right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch some Cardcaptor Sakura. I still haven't watched that series.
I'll go find the hint. I know. As a real man, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to grab the lotion and grab your hentai and just have a nice long session. Oh, I forgot. Tyrone has a girlfriend. No, never mind. Tyrone, never mind. Ignore that. Just it's fine.
It's just for us, please.
Dude, I just put that in my head. But also, KG, thank you for showing up for this video as well. I know you watched Super. I know you kept up with Super too. So it's just been. I know it's been a hard pill to swallow these past few months, having watched this. Just this.
Surprisingly, no, I'm not having as much suffering as you are. I'm enjoying it. I just have my fair share of complaints, of course.
To me, it's marketing the show. So, like,
I'm still having fun with Super. I have my fair share of complaints with it, but it's still a fun ride.
Well, I'm glad somebody's enjoying it. But with that said, you guys, check out these guys' channels. I will definitely send links in the description. You know, Insane Game Freak, he's got great content, both video game and anime wise. KG, you know, we're already doing Pokepods and Doki Doki and other fun things there. So check out these guys' channels. I'm going to send the links to their Twitter as well. And with that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3, out.
Yeah.
Bye.
That's trash. Lord.